Welcome to the Bitchin' Siblings Podcast.
And
yes, and that's how we start our podcast.
So tonight, our topic is guilty pleasures. So I have a list here of like the 21 most common guilty pleasures, but I wanted to ask you what you think your guilty pleasure is.
Can you define what you count as a guilty pleasure? Because I feel like we have different definitions, and therefore I might answer differently if I'm going on the same qualifier as you.
So for me, like, I kind of see guilty pleasures as something that you do watch, listen to, movies, music, TV shows, whatever, that maybe are kind of considered trashy or not very, not held in high regard. Like most people would look down their nose at it, but it's like something that's like your guilty pleasure.
Okay, so that said, I could care less what anyone thinks of my own habits. It's taken me a long time to get to this point, but nobody else is fucking living my life or financing my life or handling the consequences of the choices I do make. So why do I care? So that said,
yeah,
probably the only guilty pleasures I have are books that people think that are kind of below the intellectual level I should be reading at, because, and I don't understand why, but people think that, romance novels are and don't get me wrong, I'm not talking like Danielle Steele or whoever writes like romance novels. I'm talking about like novels that are a little more there's more story to it than romance per se. For example, Nicholas Sparks, he's my favorite author, and there's more story to it. It always makes me cry, and I think I'm a masochist, and I sometimes like to cry.
I think sometimes a good cry is necessary. Absolutely.
So,
well, I have a lot of guilty pleasures, I feel like, but I think I want to go through this list because I feel like if I say what my guilty pleasures are, it'll kind of overlap with some of these. So I'm just going to go down this list, and some of these I don't necessarily feel like are guilty pleasures, but these are like the 21 most common amongst the people that were asked. And the number one on the list is ordering food for delivery.
Okay. Do you do a lot of that?
Not necessarily order. There's a lot of times where we'll pick it up, like on the way home.
Yeah.
One, it's cheaper, and two, it's, on the way generally. But we try not to do that very often. Like, it's expensive when all of us go out, so we try to do once a week, like little date nights, just me and Roger. We either leave the house and go somewhere, or he'll pick something up. Like if we know it's just us two, like the kids are all busy, we'll pick up something and sit down and eat. But I don't consider that a guilty pleasure. I think that that's almost falls under the umbrella of self-care.
Yeah.
Of like doing something for you, but also with your spouse, whether that be going out for a drink, going out for ice cream, going out for coffee, getting a dinner together. Like, I think that that's important to do, both individually and in your relationship. So I don't know that I would call that a guilty pleasure.
Okay. I can totally appreciate that.
What about you? Do you think that's a guilty pleasure or no?
I don't think it is. If you're doing it like all the time, that's a little bit different. But like if you're and I'm very much like you. If I'm out and about, I'll just call up my husband and be like, "Hey, here's where I'm at. Is there anything nearby that you want me to pick up?"
Yeah.
And there's a Chinese food place between home and work. And I don't live that far from work. So the fact that there is a Chinese food place in the middle, it's kismet. So that's every now and then that's what we'll get is we'll want some Chinese food.
This second one I really don't feel like is a guilty pleasure either. For me, it's actually kind of it's a crutch for me. But procrastinating. It says it always feels better to get your work done before it's due, but many people procrastinate the day away and leave the bulk of their work until the last minute. And even though it results in some pre-due date panic, procrastinating is still one of the most common guilty pleasures around. But see, for me, I don't intentionally procrastinate. It's like a mental thing for me.
Yeah, same. Like, it used to be when I was younger. I'd put off like school, like reports and stuff until the last minute. But
Yeah.
as I've become an adult, it's more about, oh shit, I forgot that I got to do this, or I forgot that this bill is due tomorrow.
Right.
Something like that. It's not like you said, it's not intentional. It's very, very.
I think I just don't know how to sometimes like remember everything on my list and prioritize it, and then by the end of the day you're like, oh shit, I still have not done that, or that was really important, I should have gotten that done first. I have to usually make a list if I have a lot of stuff going on in one day so that I don't forget, because I'm one of those people that like if I write it down or if I say it out loud, it's harder for me to forget.
I've had to create notifications in my calendar. Like, yes. I have one every night to remind me to clean the cat box. Like, yes. I shouldn't have to, but I do. Yeah. I have one every night to brush my teeth because...
Well, I don't need one for but...
If I don't have a reminder, I will forget. Like, I shouldn't. There's a lot of things that self-care-wise that I shouldn't forget to do, but I do because...
See, and I don't. Like, my nighttime routine is very much... I get up at a certain time from, like, whatever I'm doing, and I... wash my face, and I put on my moisturizer, and I, make sure all my eye makeup is removed, and I brush my teeth, and I take my melatonin, and then I take my anti-anxiety. Like, I have a very set way of doing things. It's just like a routine for me, but it's part of my, like, decompression for the day. But number 3 is my biggest one, and this is why I didn't want to talk about it earlier. Binge watching reality TV shows.
Okay.
So,
which reality shows are you into?
So, for the longest time, I was, and still am on some level, not so much on their new Hulu show, but the Kardashians. And not because I like the Kardashians, but like one day I stumbled across the TV show, and then I watched it, and like I'm obsessed because it makes me feel better about my own life that these people who are rich and literally can do whatever they want with whatever they want. And I get it. It's reality TV. Some of it is very scripted or very planned. And I get that. I'm not stupid. But some of these things that these girls argue over or fight over is just humorous in the grand scheme of things.
I'll give you that. I do find humor in feeling better about myself by saying, what is wrong with these people? It could be so much worse. Like, come on.
Right.
But I cannot watch the Kardashians. It makes me feel stupid. Like, I feel like
it
I'm
makes me
getting
feel smart.
With every minute that goes by watching it, I feel like I'm getting progressively stupider.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm getting smarter because like I watch these things and it really does kind of make me go, oh, life's not so bad. But my newest one, and it's all because of TikTok, is My Sister Wives.
Is that the guy that's got like 4 wives?
Yes.
And there's like controversy around him all of a sudden or something?
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I was scrolling around on TikTok and something popped up on one of my pages one time about his wives divorcing him or whatever. And then I got so suckered into like these little clips that I have now gone onto my Discovery Plus and started watching from the beginning because I gotta understand. And like, I don't know what my fascination is. I don't ever want to wish a relationship falling apart for anybody. That's difficult, stressful, hard, no matter how many wives you do or do not have. But God, watching like this dumpster fire, knowing ahead of time, like if I had started watching it at the very beginning and didn't know where it was going to end up, I might not have found it as entertaining, but I already know right now where they're at. So going back and watching it and seeing all these like red flags and going, oh my God, like, so that's my newest.
I'll give you that.
Guilty pleasure.
As far as reality TV goes, I watched Laguna Beach back in the day.
Yes.
And yes. I'm listening to the rewatch podcast with.
Absolutely, me too.
Like, I'm not surprised that the feud between the two of them were not nearly as bad as it was made to seem.
Yeah.
But it is interesting getting a like real look at like, okay, here's what really happened. Here's what they had us do to make it look like this. That was...
And I have been watching that or listening to that, and I've also been listening to the Hills Rewatch podcast with Audrina and Brody and Frankie.
Okay.
And I knew based on the way that they finished The Hills that it was obviously more scripted than, I don't want to say scripted, but more it was very much more planned than I think
more led.
Yes, than the Laguna Beach series started out as. But I think the thing that's really disappointing for me is that this was the beginning of reality TV for like our generation, because before that you had like Survivor and, you know, some of the other ones. And I was absolutely upset.
Can we go back to the original, which would have been Real World?
Well, yes. I mean, but Real World, but I technically was not allowed to watch MTV growing up. And so I watched it, but very sporadically and not enough. I wasn't allowed to watch it. So whenever my mom was gone and I was able to sneak it, I was able to watch an episode. But I could never really follow a season from beginning to end.
Fair. That's fair.
So yes, like, you know, the Real World, Road Rules Challenge, all those ones that came before it, absolutely. But this was the one that was, I'm just disappointed now listening to these rewatch podcasts, how much this stuff was fabricated. Because it makes me kind of angry as a viewer that they portrayed it to be something that it wasn't. And like, sadly, we all kind of fell for it. And I don't know why. And I feel like their lives were so glamorous to begin with anyways because of where they lived, that I don't know that you needed to add on this love triangle that didn't exist.
Exactly.
I understand you need drama, but I mean, let's be real. High school is drama. You don't need to fabricate drama for there to be drama.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's kind of a letdown now, re-listening to this and hearing some of the what really happened, and that's like so disappointing.
The only other thing, like back in the day, not as much now, in fact not at all now, was Teen Mom. Some of the characters, I say characters because I don't know how much of it's real, and I don't know that I care to know.
Right.
But some of them, like, I was invested in where their life was going. But other than that, I don't think that I have any other binge watching of reality TV that I do.
And I don't really binge watch the Kardashians anymore. Like their new series on Hulu. I watched a couple of episodes while I was at the gym one time just because, hey, it's killing time. Mm-hmm. It was just boring. It just seemed like a big commercial for all of the girls' new endeavors. Now the old one, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, was kind of fun and interesting. Towards the end, it got to be a bit much because you could tell a lot of it was staged and set up. But that's mine. Okay, number 4, eating a half a gallon of ice cream when you're in types of sadness.
Nope. That one's not for me. I'll eat ice cream, but I can't eat more than a couple, like 2 scoops.
I feel like that was like our mother's generation.
Yeah, I
feel like that was their way of dealing with frustration and sadness and stress.
Yeah, that's probably very correct, very accurate.
Because Mom used to do it a lot, where like she always had to have fat-free ice cream or low-fat ice cream, because when she would eat it, she would eat a large amount at one time because she was stressed. And I cannot consume that much ice cream in one sitting, even if
exactly same. Like even if I tried, my stomach would be like, we're done. No.
She used to be able to eat like a whole Ben and Jerry's, and like I can have like a couple of bites. Like a Ben and Jerry's will last me weeks.
The little pints.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not for me. Another guilty pleasure is snooping through other people's social media. Not logging into their social media, like, and pretending to be them, but cyber stalking people on their Facebook pages and stuff to see what they're up to.
No, not so much now, but I definitely did that in the past. You know, back when MySpace was a thing.
Yeah. I feel like I did it when I was younger, and I feel like the older I've gotten, I'm not friends with people on social media that I'm not friends with in real life, or people that I don't have something in common with or whatever. And so there are some people who I have purposely removed from my social media, and when somebody else that we have in common like shares something or tags these people in it, I find myself curious, but I also know that I can't look at those things because it just frustrates you, and it just, so like you have to like scroll past, you know, and just know that, you know, their life is their life now, your life is your life now, you know, and it doesn't matter what that person's up to or whatever. And And that's the thing I don't really care for about social media, is that you can't control what other people post and that pops up on your pages. And I can't unfriend everybody that these people and I have in common, because that would be so many people.
Yeah.
So it's just having that mental capacity to know that, like, I don't need this, and just keep scrolling.
Yeah, but I definitely get that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's human nature.
Yeah.
To want to see what people are up to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when like your neighbors are having drama, and you don't want drama in your life, but you want to see what's going on, because you're like, ooh, I want to watch the drama, but I don't want to be part of it.
Right. But at the same time, I almost don't want to watch the drama, because then I end up with more questions than answers. And who am I going to ask those questions to? Because I don't want to go to my neighbor and be like, so I overheard and I have questions. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather not know. I legitimately, as I've gotten older, have been so empowered by when people ask questions and I can say, I don't. And I'm not saying I don't know about work or about like everyday things, but like the drama,
the
or
gossip.
people's gossip when people ask questions and I can say, I don't know. That's so empowering. And who would have thought those 3 words would be empowering? But it just is. I like being able to throw my hands up and just be like, not my problem.
That's fair.
You know?
That's fair.
Okay, so the next one is sleeping in late.
I don't know why that's considered a guilty pleasure. If you have nothing that's pressing and it's not like you're postponing your life because of it. Because I sleep in all the fucking time. Like, every weekend. Like, even if I have to wake up at 6 o'clock to feed the cats, which it's only about half the time that I do on the weekends anyway, because Bill will generally get up on the weekends and feed them. And I generally do it during the week since I'm already getting up to go to work. But
yeah,
even if I wake up early to feed them, I go back to bed and I will stay in bed until 9:30, 10 o'clock.
I wish. I would love to sleep in, and I joke about, oh, I'm going to sleep in this weekend. And my alarm clock goes off between 6:15 and 6:30 on a regular day basis. And when it goes off during the week, I can never seem to get myself out of bed. But on the weekends, you bet your ass, by 6:30, I'm wide awake. So sometimes I'll lay in bed and play on my phone and just kind of relax. So the other day, in one of our previous episodes where I mentioned I accidentally took a nap, that's not normal for me. Because 1, it makes it difficult for me to fall asleep later in the evening. And then 2, it's just... normally once I'm awake, I'm awake. I would love to sleep in. And sleeping in now to me is 8 o'clock.
No.
I mean, I bartended last night and I got home at 11. I don't think I went to bed until midnight. And I was up by 6:15, 6:30 this morning.
This is one of the upsides of not having kids, is that I can sleep. And yes, I do have animals that need things. But it's not...
Well, shit, my kids sleep in. My husband sleeps in. I just, for some reason, cannot sleep in. And if I do end up going in and out of sleep until 8:30, 9 o'clock, come 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, I'm thrown off of my sleep schedule. And then I can't fall asleep. So I would rather just get up and go through my day.
Yeah, see, I'm still at the, I can sleep anywhere, anytime. Just give me the opportunity and I will.
Okay, the next one. Scrolling on TikTok.
Oh, geez. That one, I don't know that that's so much of a guilty pleasure as it is oh shit, I lost track of time.
Yes.
So anyone who might know Ginny or I, we tend to send each other things that we find humorous.
And prior to TikTok, it was memes or stuff that we found on Instagram.
Yeah.
So it's not like we only started doing it once TikTok came around. It's just easier now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god. Okay. I think we can both agree that one. I don't know that it's necessarily a guilty pleasure, but it is definitely something where, unfortunately, it does.
It's a time suck.
Yeah, it is a time. I try not to look at it unless I know I don't have anywhere I need to be or something I need to be doing, because it does. Next thing you know, it's a half an hour later. So.
Or it's, 2 hours later.
Number 8, watching your favorite children's movies as adults. And then number 9, they're kind of the same, watching sappy romantic films. So kind of either rewatching some of those movies that you watched when you were a kid, or watching like a rom-com, sappy romantic movie.
I don't know that I lean toward like kids movies or even rom-coms. well, I guess rom-coms, but like not sappy. I lean more toward like the teen movies that we grew up on, like 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes.
And Bring It On, the original.
Yeah. Yes.
But that's what I lean toward, like when I'm sick and I just kind of need to space out and I just need something on. That's what I'll put on.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of watch those like if I'm not feeling the best and you kind of just need like a comfort.
Yeah.
It's like comfort food.
Yeah.
But it's a movie. So those two I kind of put together because they kind of... This one I don't feel like is a guilty pleasure at all, but for some reason it is listed, and it's listening to a catchy song on repeat.
I don't see how that's a guilty pleasure.
Nope. So we can just skip.
Yeah. I mean, I'll do that, but...
Clearly, given the sounds you heard at the beginning of this, and Amy, this one is one that I don't think either one of us thinks is a guilty pleasure, but it says having a glass of wine on a weeknight after work. Specifically a weeknight.
Okay.
After a long and draining shift at work, many employees get home and succumb to a popular guilty pleasure, such as a glass of alcohol. But whether it's wine or beer, there's a tinge of penitence that comes along with taking a few satisfying sips on a weeknight. That just sounds like this was written in the 70s, and it's super scandalous.
I know. Like, I'm gonna drink whatever day I feel like it, because I'm an adult. And as long as I don't have to go anywhere or do anything, who the fuck cares what day of the week it is?
I feel like before social media, it was so taboo for people to drink. And, like, it was a big deal. Because, like, I even remember growing up, my mom barely... It was, like, big occasion, like Christmas. You know? And it's, like, it's such a normal, everyday... And I think that's part of our society. Alcohol was so taboo for so long that you had a lot of binge drinking and, you know, behind closed doors. And I mean, I don't drink heavily. I don't drink beyond a normal healthy amount. I know my limit. I don't drink every night. I don't need alcohol to get through things. And I feel like if that were the case, it would no longer be a guilty pleasure. It would be a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There are so many days where my husband's like, have a drink with me. And I'm like, no, I just don't feel like it today. And
my husband's like that 99% of the time. He is not a big drinker. He just really isn't. It's just never been his thing.
I have to admit that since we started actually recording postable podcasts, I've been drinking more. And it's all your fault.
It is. But I feel like it's not a weeknight, first of all. It's Sunday night.
This is true. Technically, that would mean that it is a weeknight.
Well, yeah. But I mean, I feel like if you and I we lived closer and we saw each other more often, we would have a glass of wine or a drink when we saw each other just because, you know, it's relaxing to just sit and kind of chit chat and have a drink, talk.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? So it's not like we're doing something we wouldn't normally do.
Exactly.
So, okay. Reading the latest celebrity drama. That I feel like is very much in tune with reality TV.
Yeah. I used to, especially when I worked for the airlines, I used to get the little gossip magazines all the time. I don't buy them anymore, but I do pay attention to what's on the cover, and then I'll Google it when I get home.
I know, not so much anymore with some of the newer celebrities, just because I just don't have time to keep caught up with some of these people. But I would say up until about 3 or 4 years ago, I knew an ungodly amount of useless celebrity tea. Like, you could ask me a question and I would just know names and oh this and oh that. And like now, not so much. I just don't have. And I'm not saying I had the time then, but for some strange reason, I just was like drawn to that kind of information and I would read about it.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's a guilty pleasure as much as I would hear about it. And you're right. You have to Google.
Like the whole backstory. Like,
well, yeah.
What led to this?
Taking selfies.
I could see how that would be a guilty pleasure. I don't know if it's our age, but I don't think that's like when we take selfies, it's because, you know, we're the only ones around and we want to remember something that we're doing with somebody, or a place we are. But I don't think I
don't know that so much as a guilty pleasure as much as wanting to document
that. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if it's our age, but we don't take it like excessive. We don't take like 50 of them and be like, nope, that one's gross. That one's gross. That one's gross.
Right.
Like,
right.
Yeah.
So conspiracy videos are going down rabbit holes on either YouTube or TikTok or whatever.
I've gotten more so into this lately. And I'd like to actually do a whole podcast about some of the conspiracy theories that we find amusing or that we believe in or that we'd like to delve more into, but some of them are really, really fascinating. And then others, you're like, what the fuck is wrong with people?
See, and I have felt the same way, but there's this really fine line of me going, okay, I'm sitting here thinking what the fuck is wrong with people on some conspiracy theories, and other conspiracy theories I find myself going, oh, that's interesting. But I know that there's other people that think the opposite, and they'll look at me and go, how do you find this interesting? And yet you don't believe this. And so there's this really fine line of making sure that you're not finding something so interesting that you're, I don't want to say being gullible, but like being a little bit more impressionable with with where that information is leading you, because it interests you. So like I have been very much lately on conspiracy theories slash history on JFK and Robert Kennedy Jr. and their assassinations. Not conspiracy theories so much as like these weird, oh, this person, like these new things with the grassy knoll and everything, but just how much the government may have chosen to keep some information close to the belt and for what reason and that kind of stuff. And so I'm not going to put my 2 cents in right now because that's a whole other thing, but I also then look at these conspiracy theories that some people have about 9/11 and go, oh my god, you people are freaking nuts. So like it is a guilty pleasure because it is one of those things where it's like falling down these rabbit holes on TikTok where you just end up, next thing you know, it's an hour later and
so based on this conspiracy one and going back to the reality TV one, mash those two together. And there is a show that my husband and I watch, and I don't remember what it's called, but they take conspiracy theories and they have like data as to why it could be true and why it could be false. And then they kind of evaluate it and they're like, okay, so here's our conclusion based on this information that we have.
Yeah.
And I don't like specifically the video of like Sasquatch. Like, is that video real? And like I cannot for the life of me think of what it's called. But it's so fascinating.
See, and that stuff I find fascinating because there's proof, I think, if you really wanted to find it in either direction. It's just, which way do you lean? Such as the Loch Ness Monster. Loch Ness Monster. Like there's very much I don't know. I find these things fascinating. I do find it fascinating that some people genuinely believe these things, even if I don't. And I find it fascinating because for me, I want to understand the psychology behind why these people would believe this information, or what about it was like, that's it. That's why I believe. Like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm looking at it from more of an outsider's perspective, psychology and sociology wise, going, what is it that makes you feel the way that you do so strongly? So that to me is a guilty pleasure, is like trying to like
psychoanalyze
the people that are so gung-ho about some of these conspiracy theories, but not the conspiracy theory themselves.
That's fair.
That makes sense. Okay, so the other one I'm going to skip over because it's kind of like eating ice cream. The next one is spending all day at home in pajamas.
Why is that a guilty pleasure? Like, if I don't have anywhere to go, why am I going to dirty up another set of clothes that have to be washed eventually when I could just leave my pajamas on and I don't have another set of clothes to wash? Because
I feel like, and I watched a video on this actually earlier today about our generation had parents, a large majority of our generation had parents that made us feel like you couldn't relax on Saturdays and Sundays because those were the days to clean the house. And you had to get up and clean the house top to bottom, do the laundry and cook dinner and do this and do that. And so now sitting at home and enjoying your lazy day and sitting in pajamas makes you feel almost bad because you've been raised to believe that these days were only meant for that. Now, I'm not saying that's the way I was raised or how you were raised, but there's a large majority of people that do remember, hey, Sundays we woke up and we went to church and then we came home and we cleaned the house, and like you could not sit down and relax, and if you did, you got reprimand.
So I definitely was raised where Saturday was our chore day. Sunday we went to church, and then after church we'd go to Costco if we had to go to Costco that week. But at the same time, I also feel like Grandma was also very hey, if you want to reduce how many times you change your clothes and then therefore reduce how much laundry I have to do, go for it. Go for it.
Right.
So I got the best of both worlds in that situation. And honestly, nowadays I will still do certain things around the house on my weekends in my pajamas.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll dust on
See, and
Saturdays.
my pajamas are an oversized t-shirt and underwear, so I'll throw on a pair of leggings and a bra because I'm not doing house chores, freeballing it, but you know, I don't feel guilty about not. I mean, shoot, I had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off this week, and I did not wash my hair Thursday or Friday or today. I mean, I took a shower, but I didn't wash my hair. And I washed it yesterday because I had to bartend, so I had to look decent. But, I mean, if I didn't have to bartend yesterday, I wouldn't have washed my hair for 4 days. One, it's not good for you to wash your hair every day. And two, what's the point of wasting shampoo and conditioner on something where I'm just going to be at home? Like, you know, it's the same thing with, I mean, I didn't wear the same clothes for 4 days. Obviously, like, I changed. And like I said, I took a shower to rinse my body off. But, like, sitting in the same clothes all day is not a big deal to me.
Yeah, same.
This one is absolutely 100% without a doubt one of my biggest guilty pleasures. Overpriced coffee in the morning.
That's an occasional for me. It's not every morning, but
it's every morning for me.
I don't see a problem with it as long as you're not like spending that money that should have been your rent money, or there goes your food for the rest of this week. As long as you're not like eating into necessities.
Yep.
Who the fuck cares?
Yeah. There's something to be said about my quad espresso in the morning. It gets me through my day. It makes my day a little bit easier. I don't go out and buy a ton of clothes. I don't go on big fancy trips all the time. I don't, go out with girlfriends and go drinking all the time. Like my splurges are getting my nails done and my coffee, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So like I can see how it's a guilty pleasure for some people whom, maybe, mom always made it like, we have a budget and we can't spend more than this. So getting a coffee for her was like a big deal. And it stresses me out now as a mom to realize how some of our parents really, really emphasized that self-care was just something you only did every once in a while. Go get that coffee, go get your nails done, go get a pedicure. If it's going to make it so that getting up out of bed and going to work every day is just a little bit more bearable, as long as you're paying your bills, do what it is that you need to do to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Even if it's a $5 coffee.
Yeah, like in the summer, I will go out to the lake and drink all day and spend all day in the water. And it doesn't cost me anything but the gas to get out there. The lake is like maybe 20 minutes away from my house, depending on which lake I go to. And even then, both of them are about 20 minutes away. And I spend all day out there because that's what my body needs. My body needs the sunshine. My body needs the water.
Yeah. Do what you got to do to make it so that the mundane, everyday parts of life are a little bit more bearable.
Exactly.
And like I said, it bothers me that, and I don't know if it was just my mom's generation or if it's just my mom, but it was always she always made, every time she did something for herself, such a big deal. It wasn't very often that she did it. And it's like, I understand she was a single mom with 2 kids. I don't know what her finances were. So I don't know if it really was something she couldn't afford. But it made me feel, when I got older and I was a mom, when I was doing these things, almost guilty for choosing to have that be my self-care because, well, mom couldn't afford to do that, blah, blah, blah. Well, could she not afford to, or would she just not allow herself the freedom to take care of herself?
And that's something we may never know. Because I feel like I feel like I saw that a lot growing up too, is that we didn't ever really talk about money per se, but it was definitely no, we don't need to do that.
Yeah.
So, and not to say that any of the self-care that you do has to cost money. You can definitely take care of yourself and have it be cheap if it's not in your budget.
Absolutely. But self-care was so important, and I don't know that our parents' generation appreciated it or took it as seriously. And then to blame our generation, well, you would be able to afford these things if you didn't buy your coffee. You know what? No, that's not, inflation's so high, the cost of living is so high that $5 coffee isn't going to make or break, what I can afford on a daily basis. Yeah, I might be able to save a couple $100, but at the end of the day, that extra couple $100 at the end of the year isn't going to help me get into a house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, anyways. Okay, the other one is greasy fast food.
Not so much for me. Every now and then, like maybe.
Not how often do you get it, but like when you get it, is it like a guilty pleasure for you?
No, it's generally more of a well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Because
it's more of a necessity for me. Like if I'm on the run and I have to grab food and like we just don't have time to go home and cook, it's like it's almost a necessity. It's not a guilty pleasure.
But with it being greasy fast food, every now and then do you remember, and I'm not going to go into why, but do you remember when that time that I was in the hospital up in Washington, and when I got out, I was crying and I was like, I just want a cow.
Yes.
That's the kind of thing I go through. I will just be like, I need something that I know isn't good for me, but it's gonna hit the right spot.
Right.
So I guess in my case, it would be a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay, the other one is going on a shopping spree.
Okay. One, I don't shop that often. And two, I think this was on our episode that we that it was the audio was horrible. So we had to re-record. My kind of shopping spree. I saw a TikTok and this guy, this guy's wife said, okay, you got 5 minutes to scope out Barnes & Noble, and then you got 90 seconds to go through and pick out whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's my kind of shopping spree, first of all. And second of all, I know I could never afford that because I'd want all the hardback books and they'd all be full price.
See, I am not a shopper. I know what I need. I go in, okay, I take that back. If it's not Target, if it's like a clothing store, I don't go in unless I know exactly what I need or what I'm looking for, the size. And like, I don't upsell me, blah, blah, blah. Like that. Now, Target is definitely, we go to Target and Target tells us what we need. And I usually go to Target knowing I need things like, oh, I need laundry detergent or whatever. So it's not like I just go just to go. But while I'm there, I will definitely gallivant around and see what else is there. But only Target is the place that I do that. Other than that, but I'm already there for a purpose. Like I said, I don't just go to Target to go to Target. But when I'm there, you never know what else Target says you need.
See, and I hear so many people have this issue with Target and Target telling them they need stuff that their spouses say they don't need. But thankfully, our Target is in a parking lot that I hate going in. So I don't necessarily actually go to Target all that often. I will hit, like anything that I can get at the grocery store, I'll hit that up. And if it's not at the grocery store, I tend to hit Kohl's because Kohl's has a better parking lot. It's all about the parking lot, baby.
My other guilty pleasure for shopping is Costco.
Oh
my God. I could go up and down every single aisle at Costco and not get bored. And I remember being a little girl, my mom had an in-home daycare, and I hated going to Costco because we always bought everything in bulk because, the daycare, so we buy toilet paper and food. And I hated it because like it wasn't anything I got to look at. And let's be real, when you're that age, Costco doesn't have anything for you, But oh good God, now I could give me a whole day in Costco and I could entertain myself all day long.
Yeah, if someone offered me a shopping spree in Costco, I could put a pretty dent in that.
Oh, good God, yeah.
And the whole, why do you need toilet paper in bulk? It's just you and your husband. Because if you buy it in bulk, you save money, and therefore I can spend spend my other money on other things. I can buy that $5 coffee now.
I don't want to go to the store every month to get more toilet paper. So if I can have a 6-month supply and never have to buy it for another 6 months, you bet your ass I am trying to be the most convenient. The least amount of times I have to go up to a store. Because again, Target tells you what you need. And if I don't need to go to Target for something, I'm not going to go to Target. I can get large amounts of toilet paper, tissues, water, whatever the fuck the kids need. I will rather drive the 2 hours, because that's the closest Costco we have, and then not have to go to Target, because I will save money.
Mm-hmm.
But I also believe that Costco tells you what you need to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I went there, last time I went there was well before Thanksgiving because ours moved locations. And now I'm afraid to go because the parking lot. It's all about the parking lot. And I haven't seen exactly this location, so I don't know what the parking lot looks like. But I went in there and I bought frozen fruit. I didn't think I needed frozen fruit, but I used my frozen fruit.
I went there a couple of months ago, and they had these yogurt, like little yogurt, chocolate-covered yogurt bars that were, like, frozen.
Ooh.
And I didn't need them, but they were on sale. And you got 2 packages, and there was 12 in a package, so there's 24. And it was for, like, $4. And I was like, I'll fucking use that. Like, I still have them in my freezer. I don't eat them that often, but every once in a while when I want, like, a late night, like, ice cream treat. And I'm talking, it's, like, the size of, like, a fun size, like, Snickers bar. So it's not very big, but it's perfect. And one's strawberry and one's vanilla.
Ooh.
So, like, one's a chocolate-covered strawberry yogurt ice cream type frozen yogurt bar, and the other one's a chocolate-covered vanilla one. And, oh, my God. And it's, like, a nice little treat. I didn't need it, but for $4 and you walk away with 24, like, okay. Like, I will find a purpose for that. Like...
Mm-hmm.
So, Costco's, I'm not into shopping, but Costco and Target are definitely guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the last one is gossiping with friends. This is why we have a podcast.
Yeah. I mean...
Guilty.
No woman in their right mind is going to say no.
But I feel like, okay, in my older age, I don't care to gossip with just anybody.
Oh,
like,
absolutely not.
You're one of my go-tos. One of my other girlfriends is a go-to, and my husband. And that's it. 1, again, I really genuinely like saying I don't know. 2, I have so much going on in my own life. I don't need to take on the stress of knowing everybody else's business. And 3, as I've gotten older, I find that, so this is like a 2-part. As I've gotten older, I have found that 1, people cannot be trusted to just vent things to without it being told to somebody else. And 3, second part of the third here is that I find that the people that want to gossip the most are the most disingenuous people and are just gossiping to gossip to get gossip. Like, there's people that I know that, like, they'll come up to you and gossip, but they start it because they hope that you'll say something back so that they can go and say, oh, well, this person told me this. And then you get sucked into this, like, cycle of just bullshit, and you didn't expect it because you were just saying in passing, oh, yeah, blah, 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 not realizing this person was, like, taking mental tallies. Mm-hmm. Just so they could go run their mouth to other people. Like, it's a drama. I don't have time for it. I also, as I've gotten older, have a very smaller idea of what I care to gossip about. Exactly.
Certain people don't deserve the bandwidth in my brain. So I'm not going to talk about them. So
absolutely. Well, and I've also found that there's a lot of drama and there's a lot of things that you see, especially on social media. And our first initial reaction is to go talk shit or to have an opinion. 1, that's a lot of real estate in my mind to have an opinion. 2, my opinion isn't going to change the way this person is living their life and the decisions they're making. So why waste my time being concerned about their choices?
Yeah.
And then I also feel like I wouldn't want somebody to say those things about me if I were to post something or say something or make a choice that they may or may not agree with. Because as I've gotten older and matured, those are my decisions. And at the end of the day, it's only going to affect me and those around me. So those are the only opinions that matter. So 1, I'm very close to my chest with what I do share on social media and with people that I'm not super close with. But I try to think of it from an outsider's perspective of, I wouldn't want somebody to say that about me.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't be saying it about them. I don't know every aspect of their life. No matter how close I am with somebody, there's always things I don't know. So for me to form an opinion, especially a negative one, about something I don't know everything about, is super irresponsible.
I 100% agree with that. Absolutely.
Is it weird that at like 40 years old, I just don't care to get tangled up?
I think that's healthy at 40. I think it would be unhealthy if you were 40 and you're like still gossiping around town like you're 21. It shows maturity. It shows that you've grown. It shows.
Well, and I have been, it's a small town here and I'm an outsider. I have been the topic of many people's conversations, and a lot of the things they have to say are just like, where the hell did you get that? Like, you and I have never spoken a word to each other. How in God's name did you hear something about me, think you knew enough about me to keep passing that information along, and in your mind think you're 100% right? Having never spoken to me, and then not put two and two together in your age, the damage you are doing to someone and their family and their lives and their psyche by perpetrating this lie because somebody you know said something. Like, it's, oh my God, it's so high school.
Mm-hmm.
I just some of the things that I've heard about me are just absolutely asinine, but quite humorous all at the same time, because anybody who knows me, like, one of the biggest ones is, supposedly I'm a great big old slut and I've slept around. Anybody who knows me knows I'm like one of the biggest prudes you'll ever meet, until I'm in a committed relationship and I'm not a prude with my significant other. But I can count on one hand how many, people I've been active with, and one time over, not one time, multiple times. One hand, multiple times, sorry. But people have it in their head that because I'm a social person and I talk to people and I'm nice, that means I'm sleeping with people. And it's humorous now in my age, but when I was younger and I was married in a relationship that was very, very toxic and was very, very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Tumultuous, yeah.
That caused a lot of strife in our relationship and created a divide that there was no coming back from, because it didn't matter what I said. It only mattered that other people had things to say.
Yeah.
And they didn't know me.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to be that person that creates that kind of stress and strife in somebody else's life.
No, I totally get that. It makes total sense. I think one of the most humorous, dumb rumors I've ever heard about myself was that I smoke. And
smoke what?
Exactly. It was when I worked.
First of all, why is that even a rumor? Who
Thank
cares
you.
If you did?
Thank you. So it was when I worked for an airline, and that airline had a rule that, well, no, because the airline I worked for didn't actually have that. It was the parent company that did, that they tested for nicotine, because if they tested for nicotine, they could offer lower healthcare rates.
Correct.
By saying none of our employees are nicotine users. So somebody started going around saying that I did smoke cigarettes, and I'm like, first of all, who cares? Because again, this was when I worked for the regional carrier, which the regional carrier didn't test for that. And second of all, who the fuck cares?
I don't know that I've ever seen you even hold a cigarette, let alone smoke one.
Yeah, I tend to smoke when I drink.
Who doesn't?
And
we were 21, 22 when we went to the bar and got drunk. Who didn't take a drag off of a cigarette?
By drinking, I mean like hardcore drinking. Last time I had
one
was
back when
September.
We were in like our early 20s.
Like I went to the bar in September though, and I drank and I smoked, but I haven't
taken a drag off of a cigarette in probably a good 10 years, and that's when I got like really, 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 really drunk. And I did take a couple drags off of a cigar recently. I don't know that counts.
And I'm not sure if it does either. And mostly the only reason I did it was because there was an odor outside, and I was trying to get rid of the odor that was going up my nose, so I'd rather smell the cigar smoke.
Smoke actually, I think, smells good.
It can, depending on what kind of cigar you're smoking.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But yeah, I was doing it purely.
But again, it just goes to show that like they were just trying to point fingers, and make somebody else look bad.
Exactly.
And really they don't understand that they're affecting other people's lives. It's just, I don't want to be responsible for that sort of drama in somebody else's life. That's just not something that I want to be. My conscience is, I just don't have. I left high school. In high school, I'd like to keep it there.
Exactly. Is that all of them?
Yeah. So do you want to do it this or that?
I have one, and it's themed.
Ooh, okay.
Friends, the TV show.
Oh, okay. I was like, Friends, like in general, or the TV show?
The TV show.
For those of you who do not know, we have a guilty pleasure, me and Amy. Well, we don't necessarily have a guilty pleasure of watching reality shows, but our guilty pleasure is watching Friends on repeat and sending each other memes and quotes in an obnoxious amount of Friends. So.
Yes, absolutely. For a long time, anytime Ginny would text me, my phone would yell, Joey doesn't share food. I have since made it so my phone just doesn't make any noise ever. You know.
Yeah, but if it does, it's Joey doesn't share food.
Yeah.
And she knows it's me.
Exactly. So, would you rather be at Monica and Rachel's apartment or Joey and Chandler's?
Rachel.
Why?
Because that's where all the food is. And that's where, like, the open concept and, like, I don't know, like, I love the big window. And I don't know, there's just something about the apartment, the purple walls. Like, it's just more homey. The Chandler and Joey's apartment is very much intentionally, I know, a bachelor pad. And that's just not my vibe.
I kind of like that, though, because remembering back, do you remember when Rachel and Phoebe had to move in to...
With Joey?
No. Well, they, like, had to switch because Monica and Chandler were living together. Yeah, I would be afraid of the whole no crummies.
Okay, so, yeah, I mean, I would rather... I don't necessarily want to live at Monica and Rachel's, but if I'm going to go, like, hang out, that's where I would be. If I'm going to live, I'd rather be at Chandler and Joey's, because it is a little more relaxed and carefree.
Yeah.
But to, like, visit and hang out, totally Monica and Rachel's.
Okay, this is episode specific. Do you prefer the episode in London or the one in Vegas?
Vegas.
What's your reason?
The hand twin.
I actually watched that one recently.
I legitimately, okay, I get why they did the whole Emily storyline, but I wasn't a fan
Okay.
of Emily from the very get-go. I do like the storyline of Joey and Chandler in London, where they were doing, like, the sightseeing, and
he's like,
Chandler
oh, no,
was
I lost myself.
embarrassed.
I got to get in my map again.
Yeah, and then he jumps on the map. I could have done the London without the wedding, or if the wedding was to somebody else. I just was not a fan of Emily. So, like, it's really hard to watch that with Emily in it. I know why they did it. They had to set it up for the whole Rachel thing. You know, and I love that the Chandler and Monica, you know, get together then. But I just feel like the Vegas one was more just the Friends cast, and that's just where it needed to be.
I agree, but my reasoning is because of Rachel not wanting to go downstairs because of the drawing on her face, and Joey coming up to their room and...
How you do?
Good, baby. How you doing? Ross, don't let her drink anymore.
Yeah.
So, like, that whole thing, I love that. Pet monkey or pet chicken duck?
Chicken duck. Oh my gosh, chicken duck all day, every day. Marcel was a jackass. Like, he changed the TV to English or to Spanish. Like, he ran away and got captured by not Mr. Pickles, Mr.
Henkle.
Huh?
Henkles.
Heckles, Mr. Heckles.
Yes.
Yes. And then, had to have, like, animal control called, and, like, no, chicken duck all the way, every day. Even if they ate Rachel's expensive face mask and puked everywhere.
I will have to agree, just because with a chicken duck you get two.
Well, and the chicken duck, even at the very end, they tied it in. Because Chandler got, was it Chandler? Or no, Joey got Chandler and Monica.
A baby chicken, a baby duck.
A baby chicken and a baby duck. And so Marcel was only in for, like, what, a season or two, and then it was, you know, they came back and saw him in the Super Bowl episode, but the chicken duck were, like, a consistent throughout the series.
That's fair. Which couple is better, Ross and Rachel or Chandler and Monica?
Chandler and Monica.
Right.
Ross and Rachel are so toxic for each other.
I completely agree. I would much rather be in the relationship of Monica and Chandler. Like,
they were confident, they were comfortable, they loved each other. He was totally 100% supportive of her neuroticism, and she was 100% supportive of his humor and lack of what's the word? Where he was able to, she allowed him to, like, be a child and be a dork and be kiddish, and she supported that and loved it and appreciated it. Ross and Rachel could never get over each other's shortcomings, and just, it was always stressful. They were always jealous, or
don't get me wrong, I love
when
them.
we were watching the show, I obviously wanted them together, but as I've gotten older and looked back on it, I'm like, oh my god, that's such a toxic relationship.
Yeah, this is a good one. Would you rather live with Janice or Eddie?
Oh
yeah,
probably Janice.
Really? Why?
Because even though she's like obnoxious, she's genuine. She means well. She's not crazy like Eddie, where like he was psycho. You know, like, yeah, she's crazy in like a weird way, but like she's a genuinely good person, you know.
Or at least that
obnoxious.
wasn't her intent, at least.
Correct. She tried to be a good person. She tried to, like, when she tried to get to know Joey to make it so that, you know, when she came over to see Chandler, it wasn't so awkward. Like, the fact, you know, she meant well.
See,
she was just really wrong for everybody.
I would rather live with Eddie because it would give me...
Really?
Oh, it would be so much fun. Especially now, like if it happened right now, we'd have so many stories for our podcast if I lived with Eddie.
Yeah, but like he went psycho on the goldfish that wasn't real, and I feel like the unknown.
And then he put the real goldfish in the pocket.
Yes, but the fact that he would like go off on so many unknowns, you would never know what would trigger him, and I feel like you'd be walking around on eggshells.
Oh, I think I could use that and create
to your
fun.
advantage.
I could
Interesting.
I could manipulate. I say this very. This is a very weird way to say this. But I could manipulate the situation.
That's true.
And I could create the things that
I feel like only if you knew ahead of time that that's what you were getting yourself into.
This is true.
If you were Chandler and didn't know and like had formed that bond and then all of a sudden he flipped, I feel like it would be difficult. Now, if you knew going into it beforehand.
That's true. That's very true. Very true. Listen to Ross play the bagpipes or the keyboard?
Oh my god, the keyboard. Because it's so fucking funny. Like the way he does the whole with his face and like moves around and like looks like, oh my god. I would not stop laughing. The bagpipes would just be obnoxious and loud. But like the keyboard, I would just I would die. What about you?
Right there with you. Right there with you. Like everything about that. You're just like, dude, you how do you possibly, first of all, think that's any good? Yeah. At least with the bagpipes, you knew that he was like, okay, I'm learning, so.
Well, and he was trying. I think one of my favorite parts is where he's like, when they were like, you should play some more, and he's like, oh, my other sounds are on my CD, I'll be right back. And he like gets so excited to run to his apartment, and it's like, oh my god, the fact that he does not understand that he's being dicked around and like is genuinely like, oh, I'm so excited, you love my music. No. But I would get a kick out of it, of like just fucking with him.
Would you rather teach Joey how to speak French or to sail?
Sail. Because I feel like at the end of the day, I can really care less what direction we're going. As long as we don't run into a boat and we can like sunbathe and drink. As long as you can pull the boat in and out of the docks, I'm good.
Okay. I will completely agree with you there. I think I would have like had a conniption fit if I had to teach him how to speak French, and he's like, "Je plie plus." No, absolutely not.
Je m'appelle Claude. And what does he say? He goes like, yeah, like I don't even.
Je de flee floop.
Yeah. Je m'appelle. Je m'appelle. Je m'appelle. Mi poo poo.
Would you rather deal with Chandler's humor or Ross's intelligence?
Chandler's humor.
Oh, absolutely. Because Ross's intelligence gets obnoxious, and you're like, dude, just shut the fuck up.
He has a superiority complex. I feel like he just thinks he's so much smarter than everybody else and just has to remind anybody and everybody every chance he gets.
Absolutely.
Just how much smarter he is.
Absolutely.
And like, it's not even about what he knows at that point. It's just knowing he's smarter.
All right. We got two more.
Okay.
A meal cooked by Monica or a new wardrobe from Rachel?
Would Rachel have to pick the clothes for me and I don't have a say, or would she go with me to shop?
I'm going to make this call and say that she's going with you. Because she's got to see it on you to make sure that.
Kind of like she did with Phoebe.
Yes.
Okay, so I think I would rather that. Because she's got a really good fashion sense, but as long as I was able to feel comfortable in the clothes as well, you know, a new wardrobe is, I don't know. I can see things that I like, but I don't necessarily have the confidence. Like I see myself in the mirror and I just like put myself down. So having somebody else who's in fashion, who knows what sells and what's, you know, and Monica, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes her food is pretentious. I would feel bad eating it.
Especially if you didn't like it.
Correct. What about you?
I think I'd have to go with the wardrobe as well. Just because I suck at picking out clothes for myself. Most of the compliments that I do get on my clothes are articles that my husband has picked out, not me. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like someone else generally has a better idea or has a better concept of what looks good on me than I do. And I have no clue why.
Well, it's because they're looking at it without the body dysmorphia that we have of our own personal self. So
that's
and
probably
again, I
very
think
true.
with Monica, it's so pretentious, and I think Rachel, she might want you to maybe try some things that are outside of your comfort zone, but she's okay with settling for things that look good on you, but you also like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
All right, last one.
Okay.
Unagi or pivot.
pivot. I just pivot.
I don't know anyone that would willingly choose unagi over pivot, just because there's just so much with the pivot scene.
I feel like you could use
although
it.
I do love unagi. I love when the girls are like, salmon skin roll.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot more places in life where you can use pivot and it fits and it lightens the situation, whereas unagi isn't as recognizable and as interchangeable as pivot might be. So I would just have to go with pivot.
Yeah.
Plus, I just find that scene freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, every time, it doesn't matter how many times I watch it, I still laugh and I still yell right along with them. Shut up, shut up, shut up! Like, I just can't. So, you know.
Yeah. My favorite thing in that scene was when Rachel comes back and she's got Chandler. And where the hell's Joey?
Joey was busy, so I picked the next best thing.
The next best thing would have been Monica.
The next best thing.
Yeah. All right.
It's great.
So that's all I've got.
Tonight's a little bit shorter than normal, but this is also our second recording. I also feel like my throat's getting a little bit dry here. So, second recording for the day. We're trying to get a little bit ahead of the game so that we can keep up with weekly releases for you guys. So, you can find us on Instagram at Bitching Siblings Podcast. And Amy, where else can they find us?
You can email us, Ginny and Amy podcast at gmail.com. That's GINNYANDAMY podcast at gmail.com. And you can search for us wherever you get your podcasts. We do ask for 5 stars and any feedback you might be able to give us.
Give us all the feedback, guys. Because we're just kind of picking topics right now that we've kind of started making lists of. So send us some emails, send us some messages on Instagram. Let us know what you want to hear. Believe me and my sister never run out of opinions on topics. So again, the only thing off limits is politics and religion. We just don't want to touch on it. It's too aggressive, and we're just trying to keep this a little bit lighthearted.
And it's too divisive.
Yeah, it is. And you know, we want to be fun.
Yeah.
I'm always fun. I don't know about you.
Because I am the fun aunt.
She is. With my kids. But with our brother's kids, I think we're tied for fun aunt.
I mean, that's fair. You do get to see the little way more often than I do.
Yeah, but you also get to see the big, or got to see the big way more than I did. So I feel like it's an even toss up at this point.
Yeah.
All right, guys, you have a great week. We will talk to you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.